YouTube. So that's the best place to watch because you can see the slides. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, everyone. Nice to be here for one more LinkedIn Live. Nice to have you here. Welcome, everybody. Might be your first time here. You might have been to one of my lives before. So, in any case, you are extremely welcome here. I would love to know where are you connecting from. So, if you're watching this live, please let me know in the chat which country, which city, which continent are you connecting from, and say hi in the chat. Also, please confirm if the sound is okay, if the image is okay. There is a lot of technical things I need to check here from my side. So I would really appreciate if you could confirm on the chat if you can hear me well, if you can see me well. That's going to be very helpful from here. Okay. In the meantime, I want to introduce myself for the ones who doesn't know me yet, because we're going to spend some time together. So it's at least fair, right, that I introduce myself to you. So my name is Juliana Rabi. I worked as a recruiter for 15 years. My background is in psychology and human resources. And for the past 3.5 years, more or less, I have been working as a career coach, helping professionals like you landing a remote job faster. So it's not by chance that I chose to speak about remote jobs today. I love this topic. This is my reality. I have been working remotely since 2014, so 9 years already. So I love doing that. It improved my lifestyle. I love helping people to work remotely. So let's talk about this. I want to share as much as possible in this time together and help you also to land the remote job you want, to have the lifestyle you want, to work from wherever you want, to be able to pick up your kids at school, to have more time for your hobbies, to don't need to commute to the office, to work comfortably from home or from wherever you want. So let's talk about how to get you there with a well-paid remote job, of course. Okay. I see a couple of comments in the chat. Ahmed, hi from Nigeria. Nice to see you. Delta states, yes, the sound is very fine. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Cecilia from Vigo, Spain. Amazing. Cecilia, I lived in Spain for 15 years. I don't know if you knew that, but yes, I lived in Spain before I start traveling and working from different countries. Before being a digital nomad, I lived in Spain for 15 years. So yes, very nice to have you here. So let me know, where are you connecting from? Which part of the world are you connecting from? In the meantime, we are going to start. So I prepared a presentation that I'm going to share here in my screen, but please keep using the chat for comments about what I'm sharing, questions. Maybe I'm going to say something that you didn't understand, or you're not sure if you understood, or you have a question about something that I shared. Please use the chat for that. Let's keep the conversation going. I will check the chat from time to time, but I would love to read your thoughts, your insights, your comments. So please use the chat. That's your part. Take care of the chat, and I'll take care of the presentation here, okay? With that said, let's start. I want to make this bigger. Yes, like that. So you can read properly the slides I prepared for you. Okay, so our conversation today, our LinkedIn Live today is about how to land a well paid remote job. And I want to be very straightforward here, right? Some people think that landing a remote job means that they need to accept a lower salary than the one they have at the moment. Some people think that only entry level, like junior positions, are available in the shape of a remote job. And some people think that they need to sacrifice their careers to work remotely, meaning that once they land a remote job, they will never be promoted anymore. They will never grow. Whatever position they get remotely, they will stay in that position forever. Look, those things are wrong. Those ideas are not correct. So let's start by understanding that landing a remote job doesn't mean necessarily to take a shortcut, like a cut down in your salary. It doesn't mean that you need to go backwards in the position level that you have at the moment. And also, of course, it doesn't mean that you're never going to get promoted. Those three ideas are wrong, but I heard that so many times from so many job seekers like you who contacted me that I decided to share it at the very beginning, so we are all on the same page and we understand what is correct, what is real about remote jobs, and what is not. Those three ideas, they are wrong. Okay, so this is not correct. Also, I want to clarify some ideas here and explain you what I mean by remote jobs. We talk a lot about remote jobs. The whole presentation is about remote jobs. So let's make sure we are on the same page and we understand what is it that I'm calling remote jobs, right? There are different ways to define it. If you search on Google, if you ask different people, every person might define remote job in a slightly different way. But for the purpose of this presentation today, every time I say remote job, I want you to think, like Julian is talking about, any kind of job that can be done outside of an office. Okay, so for us here, a remote job is a job, any kind of job that you can do outside of an office. That's what I'm talking about here in this presentation. Okay, you probably noticed already that it was too simple, right? Too good to be true. Yes, it is more complex than that. I know that. I didn't want to go into that many details, but just some disclosure here. Some jobs, they are partially remote, right? It means that you need to go to the office maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, maybe once per month. So some days you can work from outside of the office, and some days you need to go to the office. So some people call them partially remote jobs, but there is actually a proper term for those jobs. They are called hybrid jobs. Okay, so people will say, oh yeah, it's remote, you just need to go a few times to the office. Hey, the correct name for that is hybrid jobs. Okay, also there are the fully remote jobs. Those are the ones I like most, the jobs that 100% of the time you can work from wherever you want except the office, so you don't need to go to the office. So those jobs are fully remote jobs. Okay, also there are some jobs that they are like temporarily remote jobs. I like to call them COVID remote jobs, meaning that because of the pandemic, companies and jobs that were not remote before, they had to change, right? They had to adapt and turn into remote jobs. And some of them are still remote, but you know that at some point, most likely your company will ask you, invite you, force you to go back to the office. Some people that had a remote job during COVID only are already back in the office. I talk to them every single week. Some of them keep hearing that very soon, like next month or after summer, whatever, they will probably need to go back to the office. Some people that were fully remote during the pandemic now are back once or twice a week to the office. So they are like temporarily remote jobs due to the pandemic. Okay. And then some jobs, I hate those ones. The fourth option, I really hate them. They are posted as remote jobs. Listen to it. They say normally at the top of the job spec, right? This job is remote, but then when you start reading, you see that they are not remote. So, anyways, as I said, this is complex, but again, doing this presentation, every time I use the word remote jobs, I'm talking about jobs that can be done outside of the office. Okay. So let's see some lessons here. I prepared 10 lessons for you to help you to land a well-paid remote job. The first lesson, and you might want to take notes about it if you have pen and paper or if you have a file in your computer, you're taking notes. Please write it down. Lesson number one is clarity is key. Clarity. Clarity. I know I talk a lot about clarity, but definitely like when you want to land a remote job, when you're considering about shifting to a remote position, getting clarity about if the job is fully remote, if the job is hybrid, if the job is remote now, but they are already talking about bringing people to the office. This is extremely important. You need to get clarity about it because once you have this information, right, you can decide if you want to go for the job or not, if you want even more flexibility, if you are okay with going back to the office a couple of days per week. Some people are fine with that, but you need to understand what is the reality to decide if that job, that flexibility level suits you and suits the lifestyle you want to have. So clarity is extremely important at the very beginning of considering landing a remote job. And I'm talking about lifestyle. I said before, right? A job that will support your lifestyle, that will allow you to live the lifestyle you want to live. And what I mean by that is career and the other areas of your life, they are like 100% connected. People who say, oh, no, my career is one thing, my personal life is another thing, the other areas of my life. I mean, we separate just to be more practical, but it's you, right? It's you. You have a job, you have a career, you have a family, you have your spirituality, you have your free time, you have your friendship, you have your family. So it's all you. So career and lifestyle, they are actually like very, very connected. And ideally, you're going to go for a remote job that supports the way you want to live, right? If you want to have more flexibility, but you go for an office job, then the job is not supporting the way you want to live, right? So the amount of money you want to make, like how much money do you need per month, per year, to support yourself, to support your family, to support your lifestyle, to do the things you want to do, right? To follow your dreams. your motivation for the job, extremely important also. Your professional and your professional growth, personal and professional growth, where you want to live, your location, the hours you want to work for early in the morning, flexible time, start in the afternoon, not start very early or start very early. All those things are important to have clarity when you're starting your remote job search process, because the job you will land, right, will impact the way you live your life, the things you do outside of work, what you can prioritize in your life, how you use your free time. So all of that is connected. That's why lesson number one is clarity is key. You need to put some time to reflect about it and identify which kind of remote job can better help you to have the lifestyle you want to have. Don't forget about it. Don't just rush to apply for jobs, rush to, start doing interviews and all of that. If you don't have clarity at the very beginning, you're going to regret that later. So please believe me, clarity is important. Dedicate some time at the very beginning to understand, out of all the options out there, which kind of remote job will better suit you and your life. Okay. Um, there is one exercise that I often do with my clients. We won't have time to do it right now, but you can take a photo of this slide or a print screen and you can do it later. I highly recommend it that you do it. I have done this exercise maybe 3 or 4 times in different periods of my life, and it's always very helpful. So, what I suggest that you do later is that you write a letter, like letter from the future. So your future version, you 5 years from now, you in 2028. Wow, seems very far away, right? But it's not that far away. So your version of the future in 2028 will write a letter to yourself today describing, it's kind of back to the future, like that movie, right? So you are in the future, you're 5 years ahead, and you're going to write a letter to yourself today describing how your life looks like. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? How is your daily routine? What do you do when you wake up? What do you have for breakfast? Do you even have breakfast? What do you have for lunch? Who prepared lunch for you? What is the view that you have when you're having lunch? How do you spend your afternoon? Who do you meet with? What are you doing for work? How do you relate to people? Where are you living? Everything. So the more accurate, the more details you can share, the better. And the reason to do this exercise is to understand what matters to you long term. Like in 5 years from now, how do you want your life to look like? And then decisions you're going to make today with your next remote job should be aligned with that, should be helping you to go into that direction. So again, we won't have time to do this exercise now, but I highly recommend that you do it because it's really, really, really good. I don't know if anyone has done this exercise. Let me know in the chat if you have ever written a letter, like your future version have written a letter to yourself, but it's extremely helpful and can be fun also. So I really invite you to do that. Okay. There are also different ways that you can work remotely, right? As we're talking about clarity, I want to mention this part also. So when you say I work remotely, it can mean pretty much four things. One is that you work as an employee for a company, right? So you are employee of a company, a remote company. So you can work from different places, but still you have a work contract with this company. You can be a freelancer, so you provide your services to to different clients or companies. So you are a freelancer, right? You have your portfolio, you provide this, and this service. They hire you, they pay you, and all of that. You issue an invoice, they pay you. You can have your own business. You have your company, and you work remotely because you can manage your company and provide the services or the courses or whatever you provide from different places, from anywhere. So you have a business that you can handle online, or you can have a mix of those situations. Maybe you are a freelancer and you also have your own company. Maybe you work as an employee of a remote company, but also you do some freelancer gigs. So it can be a combination of that. So those are the four ways that you can work remotely. But for this presentation, Again, every time I say remote job, I will be referring today, exceptionally, as you as an employee of a company. This is what I help my clients with to land remote jobs, to land well paid remote jobs in companies they want to work for. So, for this presentation, every time I say remote job, I'm referring to you landing a remote job. So, you're going to be an employee of a company that is a remote company. Okay, but as you see, there are other ways that you can also work remotely. All right, let's go to lesson number two to help you to land a well-paid remote job. Lesson number two is you need to understand what a well-paid job means for you. I'm saying here, well-paid remote job, well-paid remote. But what do I mean by well-paid? How much is well-paid for you and for me? For an example here, 50K, 50 thousand euros or dollars or whatever currency you have in your country. Is this a well-paid job? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Would you like to make, let's use dollars here. Would you like to make 50K per year? Here, is this a good salary for you? Let me know in the chat. If not, let me know how much you'd like to make. What is your ideal salary per year? I would love to see that in the chat. Let me know. My question here is 50K per year a well paid job? Yes or no? What do you think? Let me know in the chat. I will answer, I ask and I will answer. In my opinion, it really depends. It depends. Depends on so many things. For example, depend on which part of the world you live, right? For some countries, 50K per year is a very good amount of money. You can live a very decent life with that. For other countries, this is nothing. You're gonna have a very like limited, maybe even sacrifice life. It depends on how much are your monthly expenses, how much do you spend per month, how much are your fixed costs, how much do you need to provide for your family, for your own things and all of that. So it depends, right? Depends on the area that you work, depend on the sector that you work. For some areas in industry, if you're making 50K per year, it means that you're like in a really good job, a really good company. In other industries, if you're making 50K per year, it means that the company is paying you terribly. So there is this comparison also with the industry, with the sector, right, that you work for. Also, depend on how many years of experience you have, right? If you just graduated from the university or a technical course, it might be an amazing seller. If you have 10 years or more years of experience in that area, it might not be such a good seller. So it really depends on the years of experience you have in the job you are making, right? To decide if the 50K is a good salary or if it's a bad salary. Of course, it depends also on the benefits that you have apart from the salary. So you have X amount as a salary that you get paid, but you might have other benefits that complements your salary that are in addition to your salary. And then at the end, it might be like, yeah, altogether is a good salary because I have benefits, or like, no, I just have a good salary, I don't have benefits, but it still makes sense to me. So you should evaluate also the other benefits that you might get apart from the salary, and then you decide if the salary is good or not for you. Also, alignment with your career and life goals. As I said, your remote jobs should support the lifestyle you want to have. So if 50K is enough, is more than enough, is amazing for you to live the way you want to live, perfect. If it's not, well, then it's not a well paid remote job for you. So I just want to bring to your attention that when we talk about numbers, it really varies. I have one perception about it, you might have a different perception. That's fine. As far as you evaluate if the job is well paid for you, not for me, not for him or for her, for you, every person will have a different experience about it. That's fine, but you need to reflect about it to decide to understand what is a well paid job, right? Remote job for you. Create your own definition of what it means. Like for me, Juliana, my goal is to land a remote job that pays minimum this amount. This is what I consider well-paid remote jobs. Good, good, good. To help you to create your own definition of well-paid remote jobs, I brought you three tips. They are very practical, so you might also want to take a photo of this slide because then you can implement it easily. So my tip number one is that you need to understand the reality of the job market, right? How much other companies are paying for the position you want to apply for. Because the number doesn't just come out of your mind. It's not, oh, I'm going to say 300K just because 300 is a beautiful number. I mean, it's not, it's not how it works, right? Um, it's important that you have a reference within companies in a similar industry, in a similar country, in the same position level. So take the time to investigate that, and you can do that online. It's one way to do it. So I shared three places, Glassdoor and Payscale. You're gonna be able to search for position and location, and you have a quite accurate information about how much companies pay for that. And on LinkedIn, sometimes you have this information on the job spec, on the job post, right? You see how much the company is paying. So you also have this information. So please understand how much the market is paying for positions similar to the positions you want to apply for, because that's going to help you to understand what is available out there, what is possible, how much should I expect, is this enough for me or not, do I need to go to like a bigger company, can I stay in a middle-sized, smaller company because what they pay is very good for me. So have the marketing reference. That's important for you. Okay. Also, if you can talk to people who are already working remotely, you might get this information. I know that not everybody talks openly about salary, so you might need to, get to know the person better and move a bit forward in the conversation before you start talking about money. I understand that, but still, it's a very valid way. And if you get to the point that you're openly talking about salary, expectation, compensation in the company, and all of that, amazing. You're going to get a lot of information, especially if you're talking to people working in similar positions that you want to work for. So if you want to go for a marketing department, for example, work as a marketing manager. If you happen to talk to marketing managers working remotely, amazing, because whatever information you're going to get is for the same position, right? You want to apply for. So that's very helpful also. And again, back to your needs, back to your lifestyle. How much money do you need to live life the way you want to live? What are your monthly expenses, right? And how much money you need. That's like a easy calculation. That's from your side completely, but you need to understand the minimum, and then from that minimum you can start negotiation. But reflect on the marketing situation, talk to people who are doing similar positions that you want to have, and review your own expenses, your own lifestyle. Use those three pillars, those three aspects to create your own definition of a well paid remote job that can be very different than mine, but it doesn't matter. As far as it is true for you, as far as it makes sense to you, amazing. Okay. Is it clear so far? All clear? If you want to share some comments, use the comment area, right? You can write, you can share your situation, you can ask me questions, wherever it's not clear. Make sure you use the chat, and I will be reviewing that soon to answer the questions. Okay. Let's go to lesson number three. Right, lesson number three is that you can negotiate your salary. And look, I talk to job seekers every day. This is my job, right? I'm a career coach. I'm helping professionals all the time to land remote jobs. So I have conversations about salary very, very often. And believe me, not everyone I speak with, not every professional that comes to ask for my help knows that they can negotiate your salary. So I'm telling you, you can negotiate your salary. Please remember that. Please, please, please remember that. You can negotiate your salary. Look, when you receive a job offer, right, you went through the recruitment process for the remote job you wanted, and finally they extended you an offer. Well done, congratulations. If you consider that that offer, the conditions, the benefits, all of that, they are good, they are fair, you're happy with them, you can accept them, no problem at all. But pay attention here. If you like the job, you're still excited, motivated, you are happy with doing the job, but the conditions are like, yeah, they're paying less than you expected, the flexibility is not there, you were hoping to get some more benefits. If for whatever reason the offer itself, like the conditions of the job, are not great, are not aligned with your lifestyle, are not within the frame that you consider a well-paid remote job, remember you can negotiate better conditions. Yes, you can do that. Please don't forget it. You don't need to rush to accept a job offer. You can negotiate better conditions. Also, I will say this, even if you like the conditions that you offer, right? You consider they are good, they are fair. I would still invite you to try to negotiate better conditions because you can make even more money. You can have even better benefits in that company. So forget this, oh, I received an offer. Now the only option is I will say yes or no for the offer. No, no, remember, there's always the salary negotiation part in this process, okay? I want to share with you, in case you're not very familiar yet, with benefits that remote companies offer, because you can bring them to the negotiation conversation, okay? But first, you need to understand what are the common benefits, the common perks that remote companies offer. I listed some of them that are much, much more, but for you to have an idea about what can you expect, what can you bring to the table, what can you negotiate when you are in the final steps of accepting or declining a job offer from a remote company. So you can choose your own tech equipment. You have the company pays co-working space for you. They pay a gym membership. You get stocks from the company. Some companies, I love this one, they provide unlimited like electronic books, like Kindle or any kind of electronic books. So you could just get the books, they pay for that. Some remote companies will pay for trainings that you choose to do. That's quite often, actually. I love it. Some companies will pay for certifications that are necessary for you to do the job, certifications that expire from time to time, or certifications that will open doors for you to get promoted within the company. So some remote companies will pay for it. Talk about it, right? Get to know if the company you're applying for offers that. Um, some company, oh, I just repeated one thing. I just realized now. Annual and biannual retreats, unlimited vacation, unlimited PTO, and company retreats. Yes, I mentioned twice. So those are some of the examples that you can also negotiate apart from the salary. Okay, and it also goes related to what I said before. Have your own definition about what a well-paid remote job means for you. Okay, how can you negotiate better conditions and better salary, right? Before accepting a job, especially if you have never done that. Here are some practical tips that you can implement to do it. So, first, it's important that you put yourself on the company's shoes. And what I mean by that is like try to see the situation from the company's perspective. Of course, you want to make more money. Of course, you want to get paid better. I mean, I get this part. I also want to get paid better and all of that. But when you are negotiating your salary, if you just say, because I want a higher salary, this is not enough. This is not a strong argument. So try to see the situation from the company's perspective and really show them, prove, demonstrate why you are the right person that they are looking for to solve the kind of problems they are facing right now. How will you do that? How much value can you add to the company? How much money are you going to save them if they hire you and they solve the problem they have? So when you see the situation from the company's perspective, it might resonate more with them than if you just say, I want a higher salary, I want more money. That's not strong enough, right? Again, if you have accurate information about how much other companies in the market are paying for that, you can negotiate better. You can say, look, I know I did some research about the salaries in this industry for my position level, and I know that other companies are paying an average of between this and this. So that's why I want to check if it's possible also to negotiate to go more closer to that amount, something along those lines. But you need to know what other companies are paying for that position, okay, that position level, that kind of industry also. Um, the more examples, the more successful cases you can bring to the table to demonstrate that you were an amazing employee in your previous jobs. You are making a positive impact. You're helping your company, your departments, your clients to grow, to make more money, to save money from the budget. Bring all those examples, real examples, right? Bring them to the negotiation. They give you power to keep the conversation going. There are more tips, but I want to keep moving. So just for you to understand that there are techniques and ways to improve the seller negotiation. Actually, with my career coaching clients, we work deeply into it. We actually prepare for this conversation. So when they go for the seller negotiation, they are feeling not only confident, but they have the tools that they need to do it. This is one of the things I help my clients with. Okay. Lesson number 4. Once again, if you have any question, if you have any comments, let me know in the chat, please. I will check it soon. Lesson number 4 is that the country where the company, the remote company, you are applying for, the country where this company is registered or the company is located in case they have an office, right, uh, is is important, right? Where the company, where the remote company is located or is registered is important. I will share some example here. Because it can affect your salary. Okay, so for example, if you're working working remotely, right, for a Brazilian company, probably your salary will be paid in the local currency in Brazil, which is Brazilian reals, right? Um, then the salary you're going to get might be great for you, might be well paid or not, depending on where are you living. Are you living in Brazil? Are you living in a different country? Is this country more expensive? Is this country cheaper? And all of that depend on your lifestyle. How much money do you actually need per month to live the way you want to live? So the currency and where the company is located will probably affect those things. So yes, location matter, the currency that you get paid matter, all those things matter. So it's important to reflect about it to understand that. Okay. Lesson number 5 to help you to land a well-paid remote job is that you don't need to start from scratch. This is so important, and I speak to so many amazing professionals that are really qualified for the job, and they come to me and they say, Juliana, I don't want to land a remote job because I don't want to go for a junior position. And then I ask them, like, but why would you go for a junior position? Oh, because it's gonna be my first remote job, right? So I need to start from scratch, right? No, wrong, wrong. Look, you might even be new to remote jobs. I get that part because a lot of the professionals I help, it's they're gonna land their first remote job, right? Some of them worked during COVID remotely, some didn't. So for a lot of them, it's like the first time actually they're gonna work remote. So they assume that they need to go for junior positions, start from scratch because they don't have remote work experience. But look, you have a profession, you have skills, you have your knowledge, you have experience in something, in one industry, in with one kind of client, with one country. All of that is part of your background, is part of your previous work experience, and you bring that to the company, to the remote company that will hire you. So use that on your own benefit. Don't cut yourself short just because you never worked remotely. You have everything that you developed, that you created, that you learned in your career that you can bring as a benefit to the remote company that hires you. Okay. So, my suggestion is that when you are searching for a remote job to get well paid, right? A good way to do that is that you go for a similar job that you're doing now, right? That you already have experience, that you worked previously, and you go for the same area. So let's imagine that you are a project manager now working from a company. You go to the office and you want to be a remote project manager. Amazing. So same position level, same kind of job, just that currently you're not remote yet and you're going for a remote position. Of course, this is only valid in case you're still happy with what you do, right? If you tell me, Juliana, I'm done with that. I've doing this. I have been doing this for so many years. I need a career change. I want to do something new. Then this is not the case for you. But if you're happy with your job, with what you do, you just want to go remote, then look for a similar job because you can bring all the experience to that new job, even if you don't have remote work experience. Okay. Also reflect like what I do now, can I do what I do now remotely? Or maybe what I did in my previous job, or maybe 2 jobs ago, can I do that thing remotely? That's a nice question for you. Because if the answer is yes, clearly you don't need to go for junior or for entry level positions uh, in your first remote job, because most likely, almost always, I would say, a junior position, right, an entry level position, will pay you a lower salary than a more senior position. So if you are senior in whatever you do, if you like what you do, you just want to shift from going to the office to a remote position, please start searching for the same position level. You don't need to go down on the level, on the hierarchy of the position, okay? On the other side, if you decide to change your career because you're not happy anymore, you want to, you know, to do new things, you want to pivot, then you're probably going to need to learn new skills before you land a remote job. And I would suggest that you are very strategic, right? And realistic with the skills. Don't assume that I think if I do that MBA, it will help me to land a remote job faster. Based on what? Like, why are you assuming that? Who told you that that MBA is what remote companies are looking for? Who told you that that MBA is going to open doors for you? So stop assuming, stop guessing, because here there is time and money involved. So I'm always extremely careful with my clients when you talk about time and money. So if you're going to need to study, you're going to need to put your time. You're probably going to need to pay for the course. So be careful with that and check the reality of the remote job market before you committed to paying for an extensive course and all of that. So be very strategic about it. Okay. I'm curious to know, for the ones who are watching live, even for the ones who are watching the recording, you can write in the comments. I'll check that also. If you're happy with your job right now, with your career, or if you want to change, if you want a career change. So you can say, I'm happy, if you're happy doing the job you're doing now, or if you want a career change, you can say, I write a change. So please write in the chat, I'm happy, or I want to change, just for me to understand better what are you going through on this moment, okay? But remember, you don't need necessarily to start from scratch just because you are applying for a remote job, okay? Lesson number 6. Yes, number 6. I like this one because this is very new for a lot of people. So it might be new for you too. Let's see. Lesson number 6 to help you to land a well paid remote job is that please also consider remote companies you have never heard about. The unknown remote companies, the less famous ones, right? And the reason I'm sharing that is that you might know at least 2 or 3 remote companies, right? When I say remote companies, some of them might come to your mind and you probably or might find them good places to work, right? So it's normal that we know 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe one remote company. Um, but ask yourself is if this is all, if those are all the remote companies that exist out there. Probably not. Let me tell you this, probably not, especially if you're just starting to search for remote jobs. Probably you don't know yet all the remote companies available operating in the world, which is completely fine. I also don't know all the remote companies. I know some of them, quite a few, but not all of them. And that's completely normal. The problem starts when you are limiting yourself to the few remote companies that you know, the 3 more famous ones, maybe the ones that you see on your LinkedIn feed all the time. This is the problem. The problem is not that you don't know them all. The problem is that you assume that there are only 3 or 4, the ones you heard about. And then you just go for those ones because everybody's talking about those companies, because this one is advertising more, because I see them on LinkedIn all the time. Look, if you just apply for the big and well-known remote companies, you are limiting yourself also. So my invitation is that you keep yourself open to possibilities. Keep yourself open to new remote companies that you have never might have never heard about, but they do exist, and they might be great companies for you. Okay, because also when you think about the most famous remote companies, the ones that everybody talks about, probably there are more competitors applying for this company, those companies, right? Have you thought about it? You know about them because they did a good marketing, promotion, all of that. So more people are also focusing those companies, right? So there is more competition out there. I'm not saying for you forget about those companies, don't apply. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there are smaller and not that famous remote companies that can offer a very good salary, same salary as the famous ones, or even better salaries. They might be able to afford it. Great benefits, great conditions, the exactly flexibility level and industry you're looking for. So I'm just saying, don't eliminate automatically the remote companies you have never heard about, because it's normal that you don't know them yet if you're just starting the process of searching for remote jobs. But then, how can you get familiar with the names of those remote companies? Now, how can you expand your knowledge, your networking with more remote companies so you know they exist, and then you can finally apply for jobs there. So there are some very practical ways to get familiar with more remote companies. Again, you might want to take a photo of this slide so you can implement that later. This is very practical. So, for example, on LinkedIn, when you're using LinkedIn to search for remote jobs, probably you are adding like the job title you're looking for, and then you put remote on the location, right? Let me guess, because that's the easiest way to search for remote jobs, the most common way to search for remote jobs on LinkedIn. But then when you get a list of remote jobs, start paying attention to the companies, not only to the job, right? What are the companies, remote companies, of course, that are offering the remote jobs you are looking for? So you will see a list of a lot of remote companies. Some of them probably you have never heard about. So you start being familiar with those companies. So on LinkedIn, simulating a job search, you will have access to a lot of remote companies. Please do it easy for free, and it will like open up the the names of remote companies that you are familiar with, right? If you have friends working in remote companies, so you might know that your friend works remotely, but you don't really know what the person does and have no idea where the person works. Well, let's change this situation. Send a message to your friend and say, hey, I was just wondering what is the name of the company that you work for. Just ask your friends and the people that you know that work remotely. So again, you can consider those companies. You can at least get to know them better to see if you like the company or not, if you want to keep that company into your dream remote company list or not. Okay. If you can attend online events, it's amazing. There are plenty that are for free, so you not even need to pay necessarily for those events. Some are paid, but you can even find free events. Uh, when they bring speakers, sometimes the speakers they work for remote companies. You know what I mean, right? So just check their profile on LinkedIn. Check sometimes even in the like in the event program, you can see there's a speaker from company X. So it's a nice way also to be familiar with more remote companies. And you can check specific remote job boards, right? That only remote companies post their jobs, and then you know what are the remote companies that are posting remote jobs. So again, you can add more remote company names to your list. So all those ways are very practical, are for free, actually, most of them, and you can make the most of it to expand the number of remote companies that you know about. All right. Lesson number 7: let people know you are looking for a remote job. Let people know about it. I want to know from the people who are here watching live, how many of you share with your network that you are searching for jobs. I'm curious to know that. So if you can let me know in the chat. Hi, Shadab from India, Paul from Denmark. Nice to have you here. Let me know in the chat if people around you, if your family members, if your close friends, if people that worked with you, if they know that you're searching for a remote job or not. Let me know. I'm curious about it, and I'll tell you why I'm curious about it. I noticed that a lot of people don't share that with others. They're searching for a job, a remote job, an office job, and they are kind of ashamed of their situation. They want to hide that. They think that they shouldn't share that, but it's the other way around it. No shame about being looking for a job. And remember that networking is a very powerful way to help you to land a new job. You might have even landed a job before. I mean, I don't know you, but probably you landed a job at some point in your career because of networking, because someone that you knew, someone that referred you, a friend of a friend, your cousin, someone from your university, right? Or you might know someone that landed a job like that. Yeah, actually, my cousin landed a job because of my friend. Actually, my father got the job. It's very common. So it is common also among remote companies. But if you don't have networking with people in general and with people working remotely, the networking won't work for you. So remember, networking is powerful. And the more people know that you're looking for a job, the better. It doesn't mean, attention here, please, it doesn't mean that you're going to be begging for a remote job every 5 minutes, every time you talk to a friend, every time you post something on LinkedIn, every comment you make. It's not that. There is a big difference between being boring and begging for a job and just talk about it and letting people know that you are open to land a remote job. So instead of being begging, this attitude, oh, hi, can you help me? I need a job and all of that, that feels like very heavy and very negative. When you're having conversations, on LinkedIn, on any social media platform, on a Zoom call, in person, uh, remember to add value to people, okay? Give something, be nice, help the other person, be interested in knowing what the person does in her or his career. What is the person working on, which kind of clients, which kind of project. Show interest, okay? Be interested. That will make you interesting at some point. And eventually they will want to know about your career. They will ask you, how are you doing? And then you can say, well, actually, I'm transitioning, I'm open for new project. And that might lead to a referral. That might lead to, oh, actually, then let me introduce you to this person who works in a remote company. You never know what it might lead to. But remember, there is no shame about sharing that you are looking for a remote job. You will decide with whom and how you do it, but forget about nobody can know that I'm searching for a remote job. Well, then nobody will help you in the process. So please share that in the right way, in a positive way. But remember, it's important that people know that you're searching for a remote job. All right. Lesson number 8 to help you to land a well paid remote job is the hidden job market is real. Do you know what is that? The hidden job market? Are you familiar with this concept, the hidden job market? If you are, let me know in the chat. I know a lot of people have never heard about it. And then when I talk about it, people are like, wow, that's surprisingly, but this is real. The hidden job market is here. Paul is saying in the comment that he shares maybe too much, that he's looking for a remote job. Well, Paul, there are ways to do it. There are better contexts to do it. There are situations that are more uh, positive and open to share about it. So also where you share that you're looking for a job, with whom and how, will make the difference. But at least you're doing that already. So we just need to refine the process. That's also good. Thanks for sharing that. Lesson number 8, the hidden job market is real. And what I mean by the hidden job market, I mean, it's not, I didn't create this concept, okay? You can even search on Google, you're going to find it. But I want to explain you in an easy way what is the hidden job market. So is this idea that around 80%, 80%, 80% of the positions available, real jobs that recruiters are searching for candidates right now, they are not posted anywhere. You will not find them on LinkedIn, on remote job boards, on any kind of job boards, career page. You won't find them posted anywhere. There are different reasons for that. I won't have time to go into those details, but I just want to share that most of the jobs, they are not posted anywhere. They want to be posted, and most of the times I would say they are the best ones. They are the ones that you can negotiate better conditions, salaries, flexibility level, and all of that. So you definitely want to have access to those jobs, right? And the way to do it, the main two ways are through networking and through referrals. People working in those companies, they hear about the position, not because it was posted, because it's not posted, but they hear about it in an internal meeting. Their manager mentioned that. They see that in their intranet, and then they can refer, they can present you as a candidate for those positions. So remember, the hidden job market is powerful to give you access to way more remote jobs out there. So you don't want to compete with only 20%, which are the jobs that are posted regularly, openly. Okay, so you definitely want to go for the jobs that are not posted anywhere, right? Lesson number 9 to help you to land a well paid remote job is that you need to take care of your online presence. What do I mean by that? Are you showing your best version online? For example, on LinkedIn. When people check your LinkedIn profile, do they get the best impression of you? Do they really understand how amazing you are as a professional? What does your resume make them think about you when you send the resume? Good, amazing. I want to interview this guy. Oh, no, no, no. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. Same thing for a cover letter. If you're sending a cover letter, right? Is it powerful? Is it adjusted to that specific job you're applying for? So remember that remote companies, they do most of their things online. So of course they will check you online. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I want to uh, put it out there. They will check you online. They will check your LinkedIn profile. They will check you on Google. So whatever is out there is showing an image of you. So you need to take care of your online presence and ensure that the information that is out there is accurate, is updated, is showing your best version online. Because remote companies will search for you online. What will they find out? And if this make you feel like, oops, I haven't updated my LinkedIn for a while, please go ahead and do it. Don't play with your online presence because it's there. Companies are checking that. We are checking that. And last but not least, in the lessons to help you to land a well-paid remote job, of course, I need to talk about it, and it's about using your work from home experience during the pandemic to help you in the process. Of course, this is for the ones who, during the pandemic, during some period of time during the pandemic, work from home. If it's not your case, it won't apply to you. But I know that a lot of people, they worked for the first time from home, right, during the pandemic, and then they are not sure how to use this information. Look, make the most of it. Please highlight it in your LinkedIn profile. There are some ways that I some ways and some places that I suggest that you highlight that in your LinkedIn profile. So in your headline, that line right under your name, in the about section, before it was called summary, now it's called about, and in the experience sections, right, of your profile. So make sure you highlight that. Also on your resume, you definitely want to mention that you worked from home during 1 month, 6 months, 3 years, whatever time it is. Make the most of it, even if it was not a remote contract from the beginning. But if you worked remotely during the pandemic, you want to highlight that as much as possible. Okay. If you can be specific, the more specific, the better, about what you have learned, the skills you have developed working remotely, the impact that it generated to the company, the results that you brought while working remotely. So the more specific, the better here, right? Achievements, results, projects, transition, all of that is relevant. You can talk about it. You should talk about it to like confirm, to demonstrate that you work remotely and you learned, you made the most of it. And also make sure you make it clear that you want to keep working remotely. You're looking for a remote job. You're open to remote job opportunities because, I mean, some people prefer to work in the office. They were working from home because they were forced because of the pandemic and all of that. But some people are happy working in the office. If you're not one of those, like me, make sure that it's clear in your LinkedIn profile, in your resume, in the conversations that you have doing your network, that you are open to remote jobs. People need to know it. It's going to make it easier for them to contact you if they know that you are, interested in remote jobs. So just make it clear because it makes it easier for them to contact you and to pay attention to your profile. All right. Um, Going towards the end of my presentation, and we'll soon check the chat again. So if you have any comments, if you have any doubts, please make sure you write it there. But I want to say, bring some optimism here, but also being realistic here. In my experience, there was never a better time to land a remote job than right now. The reason is that more and more companies are open to hire remote, even companies that were not remote before the pandemic. Some of them are back to the office, but some of them are like, we really want to embrace remote work, more flexibility and all of that. So they're more open. Some companies, right? But more than before, are open to embrace remote work. There are great opportunities out there. I know the competition is also high, but the opportunities exist. So make sure you are ready for those opportunities. Make sure you are prepared. Make sure you are doing what it takes to land the remote job you want, you deserve. Okay. And to finish, I have done that in previous lives. I want to bring this exercise again because sometimes we hear a lot of information, it's a lot of things, and it feels like, wow, that's even overwhelming, right? How do I start implementing that together? That's like, I heard, I took notes, but then what do I do now? Well, that's exactly what I want to talk to you. Just pick up one thing, one little thing that you can implement immediately, one action, one insight that you had, one change that you need to make, and write it down. Because when you write it down, you start shaping it already, and it's a way to commit with yourself to do it, right? I would love to hear, not to hear, to read. I cannot hear you, so, but I can read you in the chat. I would love to read in the chat the action that you commit to make. When you make it publicly, it's a way to, wow, now I need to make this happen, right? Because I already shared about it. So let me know this one action that you commit to do to improve your career, to land a well paid remote job, to get closer to your remote job. Let me know in the chat. I would love to read that. And now I am here to talk to you, to answer your questions, comments, insights. So please use the chat. We have a few more minutes to yeah, share what is happening in your remote job search. What jobs are you finding? Are they well paid? Do you already have a well paid remote job? What does a well paid remote job looks to you? So let me know in the chat if you have any comments, any questions. And I'll be happy to read. Also, one insight that you took from this presentation that would be lovely to close hearing your insights. If you took at least one thing, I hope so. I hope more than one. Or if you took one insight, one good thing from this presentation, please let me know in the chat. I would love to hear that. Muhammad is saying, hi, Muhammad there, connecting from Senegal. West Africa. Nice, nice. Senegal in the room. That's nice. You're welcome, Mohammed. What is a well-paid remote job for you? In which stage of the job search are you? Let me know, Mohammed. Paul shared that my to-do list for tomorrow includes make a list of remote-only companies in Denmark. That's nice. That's very nice. The more you are familiar with companies, that's for Paul and for everybody. The more you are familiar with remote companies out there, the more you can choose the ones you want to work for, and you can create a specific strategy to get visibility to those companies, to start networking with people working there, to understand how they work, what is the company culture, what they actually do, which product they offer, how do they work, which teams are present, and all of that. So you go from, I don't know any remote companies in general, sure, I know some of them. It's kind of a funnel, right? I know some remote companies. I want to know the remote companies in my country. It's a nice idea. Then I want to check the ones I like more. Then I want to create a specific and a strategic networking action, networking plan to talk to people, to get visibility to them, to have informal conversations with them, to check the positions available and all of that. So I love this idea. Well, the more you know about the companies, the more you can choose because you know your options and you can make better choice, right? If we don't know the options, the choices will be poor or will be limited. So ideally, you want to know as much as you can, understand kind of mapping the remote work situation in your country, uh, in your continent, in your time zone, and then you can decide which companies make sense for you to approach, to keep an eye on it, to follow on LinkedIn, to connect with people, and all of that. All right. As I said, feel free to share in the chat your takeaways from this session, your to do list. This one action that you're going to do to commit with yourself, with your career. I would love to hear that. Not to hear, my goodness, to read that. It's a way of saying to hear that, but it's read because you can hear me, but I read you on the chat. So thank you for your presence in this live. I hope it was helpful. I hope you can implement all of that. This live will remain recorded in my profile so you can enter again in the event. If you arrived late, if you didn't watch the very beginning, you can just watch it, take notes, implement, and let me know. If we are not yet connected on LinkedIn, please send me a connection request. I would love to accept you into my networking and keep this conversation going outside of the live. Okay. Have an amazing day or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. And I will see you soon for another LinkedIn live. Okay. Take care. Bye.